Before I begin this homily, I would like to thank Deacon Timmy for graciously agreeing to change his normal preaching schedule to allow me to address you regarding the recent priest scandal that our church is actively dealing with. I've decided to write this homily out and read it to you. That way, if you're upset at me, you can be upset at what I actually written and not what maybe you misinterpreted as my words. When I was a young boy, I idolized my father. My father was strong, he was charismatic, he was popular, he was a good provider. He was a real man's man, and I tried to emulate every one of his actions and behaviors. I longed to spend every waking moment with him, and I was sad when he had to go to work. My father was my hero growing up. As I reached adolescence, my view of my father began to change. Instead of seeing all the great characteristics that I had seen as a boy, I now started to focus on his faults. I could no longer look past the impulsive behavior, the reckless nature of his decisions, the selfishness that he displayed on occasion. During my teenage years, my father was no longer my hero. He was now a villain, a demon that seemed to torment me on a daily basis, and I hated to even be around him at times. I can honestly say that I hated my father. As I reached my 20s and my 30s, I was finally able to embrace his humanity. At last, I could see my father for who he truly was, a beautifully flawed man who loved me and tried day in and day out to help me to succeed in life, but who would always fall short of the ideal of a perfect father. Over the past few weeks, our church has been rocked with yet another scandal involving sexual misconduct of priests and the horrid cover-ups that took place in Pennsylvania. As I heard the news the first time, I experienced two different emotions. The first emotion was anger or rage. Honestly, there are a few priests that I would like to punch in the face. I hate that there are priests who degrade and disrespect the beauty of the priesthood with their words and actions. I hate that people lose trust in priests and are suspicious because a few of my brothers have acted in such a way that people must now wonder if their priest is a predator. I hate wolves in shepherd's clothing. Anger was my initial reaction, but it soon turned into a different emotion, sadness. I became sad because the priest that I most want to punch in the face is myself. No, my sins are not as grievous as those reported on the news, but I am a sinner. I have not been the perfect model of priesthood. I have lacked charity. I treated people not as children of God, but as someone lower in dignity. Even this past week, I know I hurt someone because of my actions. I too can be a wolf in shepherd's clothing. And as my anger fueled my judgment, I could only see me condemning myself. And that, my brothers and sisters, is the nature of the priesthood and the church. Most Catholics that I know would prefer to think of their priest as a holy man who is a physical manifestation of God's love and work in their community. Most people do not want to see the ugly human side of the priesthood, but in our time it is hard to not see it and not lose hope. What is our reaction when we see the ugly humanity of priests? Is our hope, our faith tied to a perfect human priest? Because if it is, that hope and faith will be disappointed. In our gospel from last week, Jesus says something quite scandalous. Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you do not have life within you. A few moments ago, we heard the reaction to that statement, shock and abandonment. That is the very natural reaction. When we hold something very dear and believe in its holiness and then are disappointed, we're usually left feeling shocked. And at that moment, we feel the urge to eject, to leave in search of something that will restore faith. Many people have done that. The disciples that left Jesus probably continue to search for their Messiah. But Peter encapsulates the hard truth. Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. Our church is flawed. Our church has problems. Our church leaders have hurt us and given us a reason to flee. Our church is in need of healing. But our church has been entrusted to those words of eternal life. Our church has been commanded to celebrate the sacraments regardless of its members' sins. And searching for God in other Christian denominations or other religions will only reveal the same conclusion. Human beings sin. The fact that humanity is imperfect only leaves us with two choices: embrace the institution of the church and its fallen members, or forsake the faith for atheism. Let the words of St. Peter be a source of hope and a warning to us. Eternal life is found through the church with all its imperfections. And so is our faith rooted in a few imperfect priests or in the one perfect high priest, Jesus Christ? Is our faith strong enough to follow Christ no matter the scandal? As for me, I choose to continue to put on the collar of priesthood, not because of me or my strength, because I continue to believe and follow the one who has the words of eternal life.